The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome back to Health from the Inside Out. I'm Dr. Jason Kelberman, chiropractic kinesiologist, and we have one hell of a show for you tonight. So dig in, put all that stuff aside, and listen up because we're going to give you not just valuable information, but new information you're not going to hear anyplace else. With me, as always, D. Nice, and our wonderful guest and my colleague, Sara Soulati. Yes. So welcome them both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And I want to kind of tell a little quick story that will kind of prime the pump here for what we're going to be dealing with over the next hour. I've been practicing for 35 years, so I've had the privilege of having some of my patients grow older with me, if you catch my drift.
Yep.
I had a patient of mine who I suspected was beginning to have some heart issues. Mm-hmm. And so like a good chiropractor, I referred her back to her MD, who agreed and referred her over to her cardiologist, who ran a whole battery of tests and said, "You guys are tripping. You're overreacting." I ran the ultrasound test. It looked good. I ran her, calcium score. Her EKG was pretty good. I think you guys need to chill. And in less than 3 months, I got a call from her saying, "I've got the worst heartburn I've ever had in my life. What should I do?"
Yeah.
And in about a quarter of a second, I said to her, "Jump into your car and go to the nearest ER. Call 911. You need to go immediately."
Right.
All right? And if you guys remember from last week, we started talking about anytime you hear it's the worst pain, worst symptom, worst headache, worst anything, do not do not hesitate. You don't have a whole lot of time in these instances. So were it not for the fact that this patient was within 5 minutes of UCLA ER, she'd be dead.
Wow.
So that kind of started me on opening my eyes a little bit because, hey, I'm a chiropractor. I don't deal with cardiac problems.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But we need to be aware
Sure.
because you never know when these things are going to happen. So as a whole, in a few minutes, you guys are going to learn a little bit about the differences between male heart attack symptoms, female heart attack symptoms, and I'm going to call it holistic cardiac care.
That's great.
Okay? Let's call it that.
Yeah.
And because we're all about healing from the inside out.
Yeah.
So most of the time, what you hear about is either drugs or surgery for cardiac problems.
Yes.
And sometimes that's necessary, and sometimes there are alternatives.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about alternatives today. Okay?
Great.
And that's where Sara comes in. She's impressive. She's passionate. She's a force of nature. And I'm thrilled to call her a colleague of mine.
Yes.
We've had the opportunity to work together, and she's going to. I'm going to turn it over to her in just a second, and let her start to talk about her specialty, which is abbreviated EECP, which is Enhanced External Counter Pulsations. And EEC, forget, you're never going to remember that. Just remember that there's an option.
That's right.
There are alternatives. Okay.
Yes.
Her website is globalcardiocare.com, and her phone number is 310-473-3030. Great number.
Yes.
So use her as a resource. Come and see her. She has an extremely important, valuable alternative cardiac care approach, as well as a generalized health from the inside out.
Yes.
A point of view anyway. So
Hi.
chat with us. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be with you guys. You guys are friends and family, and it's always a blessing to be able to talk about something else other than surgery and medication when it comes to really repairing the human body. What you were speaking about was enhanced external counterpulsation, which is a non-invasive, no medication procedure that's been FDA approved since 1995. So it was invented in Harvard. So in Harvard in the 1950s, we were getting heart attacks like we are today. And back then in the 1950s, there was no bypass surgery, there was no angioplasty, there was no stents. So they were trying to figure out, how do we move the blood from the leg and deliver it up to the heart when someone was having a heart attack? And so they created this incredible steel casing, water hydraulic, pressurized movement of water pushing the blood up to the heart when the person was having a heart attack. Fast forward 1970s, it gets FDA cleared. 1995, it gets a second FDA cleared that says when you lay on this device, your body can grow new arteries. Now, that should have been front page. We were all here in 1995, and we should all have heard that our body can grow new arteries. But obviously,
it's another one of those best kept secrets, unfortunately.
It really is.
And it really needs to get out, and that's why I'm thrilled to have you here.
It's so important to have these shows like this to be able to let the people know. And anybody that's ever come into our center has been by word of mouth or people of your caliber that speak about this important therapy. So if we can speak about what it really is. So imagine if you lay down on a comfortable bed, 3 blood pressure cuffs are wrapped around the calves, the thighs, and buttocks. And we have you timed to an EKG. So when the heart is at rest, these blood pressure cuffs start to squeeze the blood from the legs and circulate the blood through the vascular system. There's this intelligence in the human body. I mean, anything that I want to speak about tonight, I would really love to reference. It's not the machine, it's the human body when we put it in this environment that it's able to heal itself. I would love to focus on this God-given body that we have, if we do the right things, how the body can heal itself. Because all we're really doing with this device is moving blood. But imagine if you have a blocked artery here, and then you don't have and you have an artery that has ability to have blood flow. The body recognizes there's a pressure differential. It recognizes that this artery is blocked and this artery is not blocked. And if the blood is going through the artery, it starts to secrete new arteries to go around the blockage. So this device, all it does is enhance the development of new arteries. And as we get further down into the show, we'll speak about coronary artery disease. If someone has blocked arteries, you can't get the blood up to the heart. You have certain symptoms. Sometimes you don't have symptoms.
Exactly.
But there's other things that you can look for. So basically, in a simple word, EECP helps the body grow new arteries without needing to have bypass surgery, without needing to have a stent. It's something that is actually called a natural bypass.
Collateral circulation.
Collateral circulation, angiogenesis, the development of new arteries that go around the blocked artery.
We have an amazing body.
It is.
When given a chance.
Given the chance and put it in that environment that we need.
Exactly.
You know, and most of that environment has to do with decreased inflammation and increased circulation. If we can just get those two things in our lives, I think we've created a really good environment for our body to do what it needs to do.
Now, I know that you've crossed the boundary between cardiac care and athletic performance as well.
Yes.
So if you could, tell everybody first about the types of heart diseases that come into your office that you're successful with.
Yes.
And then we can, jump the fence.
Yeah, and go into
performance.
For sure, because it's all good. It's all so exciting.
Yeah.
So we have coronary artery disease, which basically says that you have plaque formation occurring in the artery and the blood can't get to the heart itself. Then we have heart issues. So that's artery disease, right? Blockages of the arteries. And then we have heart issues like enlarged hearts or congestive heart failure, people that have failure in their heart, like the heart's not pumping enough, or people that have irregular heartbeats like atrial fibrillation, or the conduction of the heart isn't good. So there's two different stories here. We're talking about the myocardium, which is the heart. Then we're talking about coronary arteries, which are the arteries. And what's so amazing about EECP is that it's going to address everything. Because when you move blood, the body's not going to say, oh, I'm just going to move it to the heart and not to the brain. I'm going to move it to the heart and not to the pancreas or not to the kidneys. When you move blood through the vascular system, the treatment addresses the whole entire system as a whole. And I always talk about how exciting it is because EECP addresses the small vessels, which are really important.
I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
I want to go into small vessels here.
Yes.
Because I've been privy to the information that you passed along about small vessel disease.
Yeah.
And if you could, because you're going to explain it better than I have, the research that showed all the small vessels that are within the heart that were previously not visible, that are now...
It's so exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We think of these large arteries as the circulation to the heart.
Yes.
And there's a whole host of other vessels that are actually feeding the muscles of the heart intelligently. And so if you could...
Yeah, let's talk about
address that because that, and then we'll get into why that doesn't occur and what drugs interfere with that,
Definitely. Very good point. And so, like we mentioned, we have the heart itself and then we have the four main vessels. And normally the whole entire cardiovascular world or the cardiologists are focused on these four main arteries, which are the big main arteries that sit outside in front of the heart itself. But very shortly after we're born, we start creating these other microcirculations that are just beyond the four vessels. I mean, God is just way more intelligent than we even can explain because there's no way that the whole entire body is going to just depend on four arteries, right? I mean, there must be something else. And the work of Dr. Strokoff is incredible because this was a cardiologist. I think he was from Germany. He went and took cadavers, I think over like 15 cadavers that had heart attacks. And he went and injected this dye into the four main arteries to see where was this dye going to take place in the heart. And he was pouring the dye and the dye was just emptying out and he couldn't see where it was going. And he's like, well, there's these four main arteries. Where is this dye going? So he took the whole heart after he injected the dye with all these four arteries and he dipped it into a bath of acid and he just removed the heart itself. And this picture to me is the most gorgeous picture I've ever seen because it's really a representation.
As long as you're not faint of heart.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, it was the tree of life. I mean, the whole entire heart was followed through this massive amount of microcirculation and collaterals. And so, but he had to remove the heart itself as far as the muscle was concerned to see the collaterals. Yeah. And that's what's so powerful about EECP. Since I've been doing this work since 1996, we are improving the collaterals that we were given right after we were born. But if we smoke cigarettes, the collaterals go away. Right. If we end up with diabetes, the collaterals go away. And so therefore, then we start getting into the dysfunction of the nervous system, which is a different conversation. But once you lose collaterals, those four vessels, forget if they're open or closed. It's the collaterals that really feed the heart.
Now the muscle tissue itself is going to suffer.
That's correct.
Because that's where it's coming from.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. And so that is, and most medications, there's nothing really there. We can't open up collaterals like we do with stents. Right. They're too tiny. Minute. Right. Yep. Right. And so the power of the human body. So give it blood. It will start regenerating those collaterals and you have much more blood getting to the heart. We always hear stories where patients go in and the doctor says, oh my gosh, you have like 90% blockage, 84% blockage, 90% blocked, and all your four vessels are blocked. How are you walking around? You should be totally having a heart attack. It's because I have collaterals.
Exactly.
Because I was able to exercise, and because exercise
Another good reason for exercising regularly.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's not like magic that I'm living with four arteries that are blocked. Mm-hmm. I have new pathways. If the 405 is blocked, I'll create new pathways to get to my heart.
Now we're going to go left here.
Yes.
And last week we talked a little bit about peripheral neuropathy, my specialty. And we did start to talk about statin drugs. And statin drugs are used for, in theory, the lowering of cholesterol in the human body, because it used to be thought that just high cholesterol alone was causing coronary disease.
Yes.
The new information kind of debunks that. And in my practice, we saw that statin drugs actually damage nerves.
Yes.
And in your world, you see that statin drugs inhibits collateral circulation.
Collateral circulation, it affects because remember, the heart is the only organ that's like a muscle. So you know how the side effects
and is working 24/7.
It's 24/7. It's the only organ in the body that doesn't stop working, right? And so then here, like, you know, in the statin drugs, they say if you get muscle cramping, call your doctor. Well, the heart is a muscle.
Sure.
So it's like, of course I'm going to get cramping. It's just going to be hard to feel it in the muscle versus the leg. And so it really focuses on how the statin drugs are really affecting the myocardium, again, the muscle itself. There's a whole world out there which you know of. There's a side of...
We can talk for 3 hours on that subject alone. But
and I think what's just really key important is that the cholesterol comes out because there's inflammation.
Well, cholesterol is also important for us.
It's our brain.
Our brain, our hormones, our nervous system.
Everything.
Our nerves
Vitamin
are covered
D.
with it. Exactly. And to suppress it is creating problems.
Yes.
So let's talk about just cholesterol for 30 more seconds. And that most of the time you don't hear about cholesterol problems in a young person.
Right.
It's something that occurs as we age.
Yes.
Why is that? Well, that's because our ability to break down and utilize fats diminishes because A, our liver is loaded with toxins, or B, we've been eating like crazy for
bad.
so many years, or we drink too much alcohol or
fatty
too much
liver.
sugar or whatever. And then it becomes a problem.
Yes.
And so, but that's usually reversible.
Of course.
Most things are reversible if you catch them soon enough and you do the right thing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the key. If we wait too long. So let's talk about men and women for a second.
Yeah.
Because I just had a little brain snip there.
Yeah.
Men tend to wait a lot longer to get care.
Yes.
As a whole than women do.
Yes.
It's like when they can't get out of bed or they can't go to work
when the
or
elephant is
they're dying,
on their chest.
then they'll go do something. Whereas women are a little more proactive.
Yes.
Maybe you want to address that. I'm not exactly sure why, but as a whole, women are responsible for things like children and other
household,
people, and they're already in that mode where they know that they have to be sharp enough to take care of another person. But
there's
anything you want to say about that?
I think you're right on with that.
Okay.
I mean, I think as women, we are open to maybe finding out what the problem is because we want to proactively fix it. Whereas I think men, they're just more like, everything is okay, I'm fine, it's going to go away. There's a little bit of a type A kind of thing that it's just going to go away. I don't have to deal with it. And there's a little bit of a fear in there, right? Because why you don't go get preventative care. But there's lots of preventative care as far as women is concerned because we're always trying to fix it before it gets too bad. Where I think some men that we've treated is that they wait until it's last minute. You just needed that crazy experience to wake up and do something different.
So while we're on men and women, let's talk about the difference in symptomology between a woman's cardiac events and a man's.
It's so different. I mean, even so let's talk about the classic angina, right? That's the cramp. You know how you get the muscle cramp in your leg? Well, that's the cramp here in the heart. So most of the time, angina is like chest pressure, chest tightness, radiation to the left arm, upper jaw pain, and upper back pain. But for women, we tend not to have these symptoms at all.
Do we know why, by the way?
Well, our vessels are much, much smaller. Genetically, we have smaller arteries than men, and our symptomology is sometimes just pure fatigue. We just feel tired. We just don't, and what is tiredness? Meaning you don't have circulation. You don't have energy.
So would that be, I've never felt so tired in my whole life moment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's like, well, why don't we stop and check it out? I mean, it could be nothing, but why don't we stop and check it out? Especially if there's high blood pressure, especially if there's high cholesterol, especially if someone is overweight, especially if we're talking about diabetes. I mean, diabetes itself causes you to have zero symptoms, whether it's men or women. Because that neuropathy that you're speaking about that normally occurs in the ends of the vessels in the lower legs, the nerves, is all around the heart.
Throughout the whole body.
And we can't feel the discomfort. So sometimes just shortness of breath is saying you can't get what? Oxygenated blood to the heart. Right. So all of those things, and even though they say 30% of all heart attacks are silent, that's what the stats are. I beg to differ because I think if that person really sat down and stopped with their life and realized that something is wrong, my vision is off, I have a headache, I'm feeling nauseous.
I can't walk very far.
I have this weird feeling of unable to breathe. I mean, this one guy, I remember he came in with elbow pain. And it was the craziest thing. I was working in ER. He came with the elbow pain, and he had a tennis racket with a band across it. And he looked at the full tennis outfit. So we thought, oh my God, it's just like a tennis elbow from tennis.
But he was right-handed.
He was right-handed, yeah. And he was having his chest pain.
But men get left-sided things, and women not necessarily.
No,
although that heartburn case, that's left-sided too.
That's left-sided, and just like the indigestion is something, and then nausea. I'm feeling, and then they feel like it's just nausea. I'm coming down with the flu, but it's really a heart issue. So we really want to get that checked out and then relax and see that if your cardiac enzymes are up. But especially when you have the cardiovascular risk factors, you should not just push away those symptoms.
Right.
We should go for it, go to the ER, get checked out, and then we'll feel good what it is. We'll know exactly what it is.
So you mentioned risk factors.
Yes.
Do we want to get a little more specific on that?
Yeah, I think it's important because, what...
I think people ought to know what that really means.
Right. I mean, and so what is a ticket for me to get a heart attack? Hypertension. It's really called the metabolic syndrome, right? So what are the metabolic syndrome? If you're hypertensive, meaning your blood pressure really is above 130 on the top number, the bottom number is above 75, that's considered hypertension. If you're diabetes, your blood sugar is elevated in the morning without eating, it's above 110, then you're diabetic. That's a risk factor. If your if your HDL is too low, which is the good cholesterol, we want that to be high because the good cholesterol takes those particles of cholesterol off of your arteries. So we want that HDL to be high. Those are the great cholesterols.
Here's a question for you. So in my world, we now know that 50% of the pre-diabetic patients develop nerve damage neuropathy. Yes. How does that affect cardiac patients? Obviously it's going to be affecting them, but is it as obvious in a pre-diabetic zone as opposed to
they say by later? The time you're by the time your blood sugar shows up that you're diabetic, or by the time your hemoglobin A1C, which measures your last 3 months of your blood sugar, is showing up that it's high, you already have nerve damage. Wow. So when people are just waiting for those numbers,
how much?
For just how much, right? Yeah. And the great thing is it's totally reversible.
Sure. So everybody out there who's sitting at home eating sugar right now?
Yes. We're going to tell you to throw it away. Get some water.
Sugar, we've come to love it. And we've come to know that it is really bad for us. So use it sparingly. Use it as a treat. Don't use it every meal, every day.
It's huge. But that's the inflammation.
And if you know that you're already pre-diabetic, don't say, oh, good, I'm not diabetic yet.
I know.
Grab a hold of yourself because it's right around the corner.
It's really happening.
Right around the corner.
It's really happening. Yeah. And so that's the inflammation we were talking about. What causes inflammation is really
sugar and alcohol right up there.
Alcohol, and then carbohydrates. People don't think about carbohydrates being sugar. We're really supposed to have a plant-based lifestyle, really good fat lifestyle. We need the fat. And this is when the industry went totally against fat, and then we were like, what are we going to eat? We have no fat. We're going to eat carbohydrates. And then diabetes went straight crazy up. we lose the whole entire vascular system with neuropathy when we have too much sugar. So we talked about elevated blood sugar. We talked about elevated heart blood pressure. We talked about people that have low good cholesterol. We talked about another one is the high cholesterol. Those are risk factors. The LDL. The LDL goes into big particle, small particle.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you want to go there and completely confuse everybody?
No, we just want to say that there's two forms of LDL. You're focused on the lipolipid B, which is the little particle, if that's elevated, but we'll just leave that there. And then lastly is how much weight are you carrying around your midsection?
Hey.
None of us are doing that here. So that's really important, So that's, the girth measurement around the waist. So
that's why we like these tables up so high.
We're so happy they're here. So, but those are the risk factors. So if you have any of those, you have a ticket for a heart attack or a stroke. So we don't want to have any of that. And the great news is that all of these 5 things we just spoke about are definitely not genetic. This is a lifestyle issue. So we can change it.
Exactly.
That's
so
empowering.
Get a grip out there because you can make a difference in your own health.
Yes.
And that's why the show is called Health from the Inside Out.
Yes.
Right.
Because that's where it comes from.
Yes. Everything we put in.
On an energetic level, everything is energy in our body. That spark that we ignited our body is energy. Every cell in our body is creating energy. It's all alive.
Yes.
Our heart, here, correct me if I'm wrong.
Tell me, yes.
But I read something. It basically said your heart replaces every cell in your heart every 6 months.
Isn't that beautiful?
So freaky, huh? Wow. So that means that the body is aware that it's under heavy usage, and it's prepared to replace every cell in your heart every 6 months.
It's gorgeous.
So our bones replace every 5 years, our heart every 6 months, okay? So our body is capable. That's why you can basically recover from a heart attack, too, because we can repair, assuming you do the right thing.
Yes, and that's the key thing.
It's an amazing thing, right?
Yes.
In just a couple of minutes, we're going to take a call.
Open the lines for calls.
Yeah, we're going to open up those lines.
Give them the number that they can call in for those that don't know.
Yes. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
323-293-3375. And whether it's about cardiac care or EECP or chiropractic kinesiology or anything else, you can give us a jingle.
Yes.
Happy to work. Oh, and we are being prepped here.
Yeah. Now,
yes, sir.
Good information, man. Because, like I said,
did we burden you? Yeah, it's a lot to take.
Since you took away all my food groups, all my sugar groups,
that's right.
Everything.
We're going to fast.
No. We didn't take.
Garden.
We didn't take care of all your food groups.
Right, but then again,
and that old food group thing, that's a load of hooey.
Okay,
exactly.
So now let's talk about what they're doing now with the chemicals in the plants. I mean, if I want to do a plant-based diet and whatever, now aren't there a lot of
like that
recalling? Yeah, see, but that for our community, how many of us can go organic? So what do we do if we can't afford the organic aspect of it when we know that, you know what I'm saying, they're spraying all these disinfectants on everything.
Yes.
Even to wash the vegetables at the store, they're using some disinfectants and cleaners like that. Then, I mean, how do we protect ourselves even from there?
Yes.
You know, with the people that don't have no money, how can we address that for the moment? What do we do? Can we wash it?
So the first thing is you got to look at labels.
Yeah.
On every food that you buy. Of course, in fresh vegetable department, there are no labels.
No.
Yeah.
So,
but they say certified organic. That's what they will say.
Right.
If it's, whatever you're buying in the vegetable fruit market.
And we hope that it is.
Yes. Well, it has to say USDA certified organic because that means it actually went through the testing to do it. But believe it or not, it's actually not expensive to eat organic food. This is a misconception because you actually don't have to do much to it. And even though there's lots of farmers markets in the community. Yep. You just got to go to the farmers and support the American farmers and support the local farmers. We don't need food to be shipped from, Chile and Mexico. We're in California.
Right.
Yeah. We've got the best weather and we've got American farmers.
What I see in the markets is I see a lot of inexpensive organic foods in the fruits and vegetable department. I think the expensive part comes in the meat department to get grass-fed beef, organic chicken like that. That's expensive.
Yes, that's true.
I think there's a big difference there.
Right.
And they taste different too, and they work differently in your body. I know it seems crazy, but if you eat an animal that's clean without antibiotics and hormones, that's one thing.
Different.
If they are, you're eating that.
Right.
You're eating that.
You're eating whatever they
Everything
ate.
that goes in the ground, that goes in the feed stock goes in the animal, goes in the plant. You're eating that.
Well, most animals are fed genetically modified corn anyway, so you're eating a cow full of diabetes.
Do you have another little piece of advice for
I
Dee
think,
about that? Because it's a great question.
Yeah, I think people are a little bit afraid of that process, but I think you should just start slow, and you just start, first of all, what's in your house, how many things you have frozen, how many things are canned. We were supposed to eat whole foods the way that it came naturally from God, without processed. So let's just start basic and say, well, maybe I should have fruit, maybe I should have vegetables, and then start taking away the frozen stuff, the canned stuff, the things in a box.
Gotcha.
Here's a thought for you guys. Some of the things that I read point to the fact that if you could only get a few organic items, what are the best items to go for? And what I read was things like celery and cucumber that absorb a lot from the ground. Those are really important to get organic. And the berries,
antioxidants,
and strawberries and things are heavily sprayed, etc.
How do you clean them?
Well, you really can't, because not only are they sprayed, but the product, the chemical process is going in the soil and coming up inside of it. So, like I said, if you were just going to get a couple of organic things, it'd be the celery, the cucumber, and your strawberries. Or grapes.
Yeah, my grapes. Okay.
Like that.
My grapes.
And go to the farmers.
And just start with a couple of things.
And then go to the farmers.
And here's a challenge for you.
Okay.
I love Fuji apples. Get a non-organic Fuji and an organic Fuji, and take a bite of each. And here's what you're going to find. They look alike. The non-organic has less blemishes because it's sprayed and everything else.
Right.
When you take a bite of that skin is hard to bite and hard to digest. And you take a bite of that Fuji and you can go right through it, and it chews up nicely, and it's just so different.
Right.
So start slow. I love that approach. Yeah.
Wow.
I think you're right.
Go find one thing you're digging and then go from there.
We have a call.
We have a call?
We have a call.
All
we have a call.
right.
All right.
Get our ears on.
Let's see.
Here we are.
Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh. Who is this?
Yeah, I need to turn my TV down a little bit, right?
Please do.
Okay.
Let me turn it down.
So welcome to the Doc and Friends, and we the friends. I'm one of the friends. I'm glad to be one of the friends. Are you glad to be one of the friends?
Oh, yes.
I'm learning a lot. And I hope you've been learning a lot so far out there, folks, because this is some important stuff today. We have hit a gold mine. You know what I'm saying? I've lost half my food source, but I'll get over it.
But you've gained a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
You gain vitality, too.
That's right.
Right.
You'll have more energy.
So what's your name, caller?
My name is Phyllis McNeil. I'm a patient. I have congestive heart failure, and I want to learn how can I reverse that. I have a lot of other issues, but I'm concerned with the congestive heart failure.
Sure.
The medication I'm taking for high cholesterol, I think that's giving me more side effects.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Very
you for
good
calling
question.
in, Phyllis.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for calling.
I'm going to let Sara take care of that.
Our treatment, EECP, that we were speaking about is incredible for congestive heart failure. So when it comes to congestive heart failure, we want to know how strong is the heart. And there's something that they measure when you do a stress echo or just a resting echo, which is called EF, percentage, which tells you how strong is your heart. Normal function is at 65%. So we've had people that have come to do our program, and their ejection fraction, which is their EF percentage, is as low as 12%. So this person is waiting for a transplant, he's got a defibrillator, he's got a pacemaker. When you do EECP, if you can imagine laying on a comfortable bed and 3 blood pressure cuffs are wrapped around your calves, thighs, and buttocks, and since we're moving the blood through the arterial system, for a whole hour we're pumping blood to the heart. So 100% we have seen people reverse congestive heart failure because we're generating so much blood flow to the heart, and we're actually reperfusing the heart. About 6 months ago, they came out and they said that in the heart itself, there's progenital cells, which are stem cells. And so I kept thinking like, wow, patients come into our program and they grow these new arteries. But what does the growing of new arteries have to do with the heart that was actually failing, that had a heart attack or enlarged heart or heart failure? Because after the people do the sessions for 1 hour a day, 5 days a week for 35 hours, we are actually seeing not only that the body grew new arteries, but we actually reversed heart failure because we're pumping blood into the heart, and those stem cells that are in the myocardia are able to replace and regenerate the heart tissue itself. So you can absolutely reverse heart failure. You need blood flow. You got to look at your hypertension, which really comes from animal products or sodium. It's too much sodium in the diet, which causes high blood pressure. But getting that circulation, and EECP has been FDA cleared. It's covered by Medicare and private insurances for people that have heart failure, for people that have coronary artery disease. It's extremely safe, and I've been doing it for over 24 years. And when we're done with the show, we'll give out the number. People can come in and try a complimentary circulation experience with us.
Fantastic.
Now, as a testimonial, my play dad had triple bypass, and so we were able to bring him and recommend him. So you met with him, bro,
yes.
And he came off his medication after 35 days. He came off his medications,
So
and
awesome.
it blew me away. So I had to go and check for myself, and I went down there. And it was great for me.
It works.
Yes, it does.
It works.
I love it.
And so we have 2 centers. We have one in Inglewood and we have one on the Brentwood on the west side. And so we can have you come and try a complimentary session, and you'll feel really amazing. Totally safe.
Well, when
Blood
can I
flow.
make an appointment? I'd like to get in there.
Absolutely.
Like tomorrow. I'd like to get in there quick.
Well, the phone number is 310-473-3030. And just ask for Sara. And,
and all you have to do is just say that we were on the show and that you want to get your session booked for a complimentary session, and we'd love to do it for you.
Okay.
How great is that?
Yes, that's great.
Thank you so much for calling, Phyllis.
Thank you.
I hope that answered your question, and I know it will be a godsend.
All right, thank you very
And
much.
tell a friend.
I will. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Wow, that was great. You know what I'm saying? Because
So many people
you never
are
know. Yeah, you
dealing
never
with
know
high
what
blood-
people can do.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because see, I was blessed when I came through that I never had that side from the high blood pressure.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean things weren't existing, because when they say pre-diabetes, you're eating too much sugar. Because my thing is sugar. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
When you're in industry and it was all about the craft services, I got to stay
Donuts.
away. So it's coffee and donuts, everything with sugar.
I know.
And it just put
It's
me
addictive.
it just took me into a whole different level.
It's the first drug.
Really
sugar.
is a
That
drug.
we experience.
Yes.
Illegal drug.
Usually.
As
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we get
Yeah.
drugs. This is like, it's
Yeah.
a stimulant.
Right,
it's
right,
like
right.
we're all hyper.
And later caffeine comes in.
Yes.
Right. And you see the kids, when you give them the candy, I can tell when
yeah.
a kid has got too much
They're
candy.
bouncing
you see
off
them
the walls.
Yeah, in the shopping centers
Yeah.
or whatever. They just
And then they take the kids and they like, you need like medication because you're too hyper. No, I
Exactly.
just had like too much sugar cereal.
Right.
That's probably the most common source is breakfast cereal.
Exactly.
Not to mention breads.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, so that's also FDA regulated, correct? Or
Well, that's the whole issue, right? So the
Okay.
people that are giving you the food are giving you the drugs. So you got to really concentrate and see, all the food industry, right? So we just want to go back to basics. I think all of us have really strong common sense. We don't have to be physicians. We don't have to go to thousands of years to medical school or anything. We just have to go, how did God create that food? And can we go back to eating something the way that it came from the ground? And then if we're eating from the ground, let's go to the farmers and support organic food, right? And just make life, get back to simplicity. It's actually more simple than people think. They make it much more complicated. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, you're just going to eat the way God designed us to eat. It's much more simpler.
Right. And I love it because when you first, when I first was introduced to you by Marla Gibbs, and she
Yes.
was on our board and whatever, and Bill Duke was there, and some of the
Yes.
others that I got to find out were coming to see you. Now, you had, as much as you do, and as busy as you are, and it was just such a refreshing thing to see you go into the churches.
Yes,
I mean, you
that's
came
love.
into the neighborhood.
I love it.
Okay?
Yes.
And you hit the churches, and they were receptive.
Yes.
And it was a time when we didn't know what was going on, how to get out of this slump, because if we needed to find something that was beyond our country doctor kind of mentality, we had to go to the West Side. We had to go to Beverly, and we couldn't afford to get there.
Yes.
And so we had to always come back here to the same old mundane treatment with Medicare, and Medicare that weren't really giving us what we actually needed. They were just pushing the numbers.
Yes.
But you came in and you came into the churches and it just caught on like fire. But let's talk about a little bit your passion in the community, because they love you in our community.
I know.
What's not to love?
I know, and I love the community. And it was through the First AME Church, through Pastor Chip Murray, that I got my funding. And so we opened up Global Cardio Care in 2002. So it's been almost 20 years that we've been in the community, and it's a huge love affair. It's like it was just like to come to a place where people were starving for information, wanting to change but didn't know how. People kept saying, "God, I've been a vegan since 1989," and people were like, "Don't go there. They're not going to let go of that chicken. There's no way." I mean, like they're not. And I kept saying,
I got a few chicken jokes, but I'll hold back right now.
And I was like, you know what? Everybody wants to live. All I'm going to do is go give the information, and for the first time, give choices. Because before, people just thought they were doing things correctly. Once they understood that they were actually causing the problem themselves, and it wasn't, because when they would go to the doctor would say, it's genetic. So the person would lose hope. There's nothing I can do.
Right.
So I might as well just eat whatever. Right. It's not my fault. It's my ancestors. What do you mean? The first person had diabetes that landed on planet Earth? Obviously, this is a lifestyle issue. So when we came to the community, we created this vegan, plant-based whole food program, attached it to EECP, recirculated blood through the whole entire body, blood to the brain.
Clean out those arteries.
Yeah. Grow the new arteries.
I want to throw something in. I'm going to interrupt.
Please.
Everybody listening out there, it's hard to go from an animal-based diet to a vegan-based diet.
Amen.
But there's an in-between.
Yeah.
If you simply start by adding more proper plant-based vegetables in and slowly cut back the animal product. I didn't say stop it. Listen to me now. I didn't say stop. I said cut it back. So instead of eating a whole T-bone steak at 32 ounces, whatever, just have, 8 ounces.
Right.
You're already in a way better realm.
Or every other day eat meat.
Exactly.
It's like you have 7 days a week. Do you have to? Some people are eating like meat in the morning, meat in the afternoon, meat in dinner. I mean, it's just way too much for the body to
moderation
digest
has always
it.
been a good milestone.
Yes.
Wow. So
Yes.
you just got to start someplace, have
Yes.
some success, be happy with that, then try a little bit more.
Yes.
And kind of set a new goal
That's
for
a
yourself.
great idea.
Right?
Yes, it is.
And then you get to where you want to go. Otherwise,
Right.
it's going to be like you going cold turkey off sugar. It's going to work for about 3 days, and you're going to start gobbling everything up. Okay,
Right.
And for you, it's like, well, what can I eat that kind of tastes sweet that replaces it until you reacquaint your taste buds with savory and salty and other flavors
like
that are just
sugars,
as good.
Natural sugars, like apples and watermelon and strawberries.
All I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, these are lifestyle changes, but in a fast-paced world, getting people to slow down long enough to realize that, you can change your lifestyle through your eating habits. That's the hard part.
Well, that's why we created the center, because for us, we were like, you know what, we want to create an environment where people can come and practice with us. So when you entered Global Cardio Care, we're in Inglewood, we as a community we're building this environment where we were all doing it together. We would set goals for you. We would tell you what to have. The next day you would come, we'd weigh you, take your blood sugar, blood pressure, and all the numbers would come down. So that inspired people. So, in 24 hours, when you can see you lost 2 pounds, your blood pressure was lower, your blood sugar was lower, that gives you hope. That gives you that self-esteem
Motivation.
that you need to make it happen. And so we did it together, and we've really made some amazing lifestyle changes with our clients. And it's really this powerful therapy, EECP, which I'm so grateful that is in the community. This is the first clinic in the whole United States that's in the Black community. And so I came purposely because I was like, there's no way that this heart disease, diabetes, stroke, high blood pressure is a genetic issue, because they kept saying, well, African Americans have all these high numbers. I said, it's not because they're African American. It's because they're eating these things that are in the community. So let's change that.
The limited amount of things.
Yeah, and not having the information. Let's change the food, bring in the blood, because EECP grows new arteries, lowers blood pressure, lowers blood sugar. It stimulates stem cells. It repairs arteries that are hard and stiff, which is really what high blood pressure is. And again, it's not the treatment. It's the human body when we give it blood. So.
Now, let's bring in some of the bonus rounds now. Which she took it to a higher level. Now, see, she's being very
bonus rounds.
I'm like getting hyper.
She's got supplements and other things that you have there that also people can get to help them out. We'll talk about that. Yeah. And then you got water. You got a specialized water there, too, that helps us, too.
If we got to drink that right water, right? We have to, the water. Remember we used to drink water from a tap, and it was so good?
It was,
it was like from the hose. From the hose, it was like the best water ever. So, we have reverse osmosis that just removes every contaminants out of the water. Then we put the good minerals in. Then we put it through UV light. Then we alkaline it. So that's just the way that we used to get water from God, and now we have to do all these things to it, but we really have a purified water system that's really high alkaline. I think what's important is a lot of people buy that alkaline machine and put it on their, kitchen counter and attach it to their tap water. You can't do that. You have to first clean the water with reverse osmosis, add the minerals, and then make it alkaline. And that's what we have.
So everybody out there listening, you're going to hear similarities in all of the alternative care people that I bring on.
Yes.
Right.
Because it's going to sound similar. We're all talking about natural food, healthy proportions of combinations of foods, exercise that set us up so that the body can heal.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. In the chiropractic world, we used to use the word innate. Okay, God-given, innate. We're all talking about the same thing. Okay,
yes.
Right.
We have the ability, as long as you give the body what it needs to make the difference. Okay, and take away what is interfering.
Right.
Okay, so for example, somebody is eating too much fish.
Yeah.
Okay, years ago we used to say fish is a lot healthier than beef.
Right.
Well.
Yeah,
that's not necessarily true anymore because we've got all kinds of contaminants and mercury and plastics and all kinds of stuff. So moderation is still, the key element.
Yes.
And just since I brought it up, remember tuna and swordfish are like the worst.
Yes,
you should even you guys at the sushi bar right now. Stop it.
Put it down.
Put it down.
Wow.
Okay?
Get some
tuna is really not healthy anymore.
It isn't.
Okay? So
sad.
I'm sorry to throw a wrench in your sushi dinner tonight, but we're talking about health from the inside out.
We care, so we're telling you the truth.
Sometimes you have to stop putting poison in your body in order for your body to heal, because heavy metals like mercury, that's really bad. The World Health Organization says there is no acceptable level of mercury in your body.
I know.
It's not supposed to be there. Okay, it's toxic. So, So you start someplace, you get some success, you get some motivation.
You keep going.
You keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You start to feel
you
better.
fine-tune.
You add a little more exercise. You go, I guess I can do this.
And it's not like you have to go to a gym. You just open the door of your house. You walk out for 15 minutes.
There you go.
And then
no equipment necessary.
And then you walk back for 15 minutes.
Right.
And now you did 30 minutes. You don't even need anything. Just open the door. I always kept telling people, keep it simple, right? Just keep it simple. We tried to make things complicated. I got to get a gym. The gym is across town. It's going to take me this many minutes to get there. There's traffic. I'm not going to come home. No, just open the door and
See how
walk
crazy
out.
she just turned?
Yeah, I just went all crazy. That's what I do. I just walk out the door and I just do a 45-minute walk. I just drink my water, and sometimes it's good to do a little bit of intermittent fasting. You don't have to eat 3 meals a day. I just wanted to throw that out there too. I mean, we can cleanse the body.
But you could eat 3 meals if it was within X amount of hours.
That's right.
But what is it, for those of us that don't know, what is
all right, so intermittent fasting means that from the time you finish your dinner till the time you eat your next meal, which is usually breakfast, we look at 14 to 16 hours.
Oh, good.
That's so in that period of time you're fasting.
Okay.
So you're intermittently fasting.
That's why they say break fast, like you're breaking the fast for breakfast, right? That's what you're really doing. So like if you ate last night at 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock tomorrow would be 12 hours. So that's 12 hours. So add another 4. When you fast, for 18 hours or whatever many hours, your body will stop and say, I have nothing to do. Why don't I go inside and start cleaning up my house? Because I don't have any...
Instead of always putting its energy into digestion.
So I'm like eating, I got to break this down. I'm not eating. The body says, well, let me go and clean out everything that I need to clean out. And that's when you detox. So, but you have to, do it in a moderation. Start slow, 10 hours, 12 hours. But I think fasting is very important. I mean, back in the day, I think we were never
great weight
eating.
Loss tool.
It is. It increases your metabolism. It lowers inflammation. It spikes up all your testosterone. There's
baby. Sorry.
Everything you need, it's like it really fasting mimics exercise. It's the same exact hormonal functions that we get with exercise. We can mimic that with fasting.
So I can burn fat by not eating for 16 hours?
Yes.
See, no, that's not funny because you ask me, I've eaten burger. I eat like one meal a day.
That's
usually
perfect.
at night. So I ate like 11 o'clock last night. I'll eat about 11 o'clock today. So I'm actually going almost 24 hours a day without no food.
You are, but move that 11 o'clock to like 8 o'clock.
That's kind of hard.
Yeah, only because the metabolism slows down at night.
Oh, okay.
Everything slows down at night.
We follow the sun.
Yeah.
We eat the highest point in the sun.
Our hormones come down. Our adrenal hormones come down.
It's time to sleep.
Down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, we're getting back to the rhythm of the way that we were supposed to live. We're on this planet Earth. There's the sun, there's solar system. We follow the way that seasonal
Before there was
foods.
Electricity and we had lights, by dark we were down.
We were down.
Yeah.
Can
Candles.
we touch a couple seconds on insomnia? And does the food that we eat...
No, you've gone too far. We're not going to deal with that today.
Okay. Yeah. Because like I said...
sugar. You can't have sugar.
Caffeine and sugar are the two things that will wreck your sleep.
I knew you'd say that. Okay.
Yep.
Right, no, I'm leave that
you
out.
already know.
Yeah.
Because they stimulate the adrenal hormone cortisol.
Gotcha.
And cortisol is in direct proportion to your sleep hormones. Cortisol goes up, your sleep hormones go down.
Gotcha.
Here's a reference for you. We have a drugstore in our body.
I love
and the
it.
brain runs it.
Gotcha.
Everything you can think of is already inside you. You even have opiates inside you, for crying out loud. Okay, you can make your own.
Oh yeah, that's what the placebo is.
You're if you give the body what it knows how to do, it will make all that. It will make sleep hormone. You don't have to take sleep hormones if you work the body so that the cortisol comes down. Right. Now, for most of us here in LA, that means stress.
Right.
And that means,
go.
When you're spiking all the time and you're basically living on the ceiling and screaming at the cars next to you.
Right.
And,
totally.
and everybody else at home or whatever the case may be, that's adrenal stress.
Gotcha.
Okay? That's good. That's definitely going to affect your sleep.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good
it's just like try having a fight with anybody and then trying to go to sleep instantly. I dare you. It's not going to work.
No. I tried that. No.
So
I love that you said that because I always speak about how, they say like 67% of placebos work. So that just means that you actually had a disease. I gave you a sugar pill.
Your brain said, I've
brain
got the
will
cure. And it knows what to do.
So and then the medical system kind of pushes that away and go, well, then the drug worked. I'm like, well, wait a minute. 60% of these patients actually didn't take the drug and the disease went away. It's the pharmacy that you're speaking about that released in the system that took care of what you needed. Right. The power of belief.
Gotcha.
So do I want to expand on that? Should we get back? We don't have a whole lot of time left. Wow. But with that same notion, our body's immune system functions that way as well.
Yes.
We deal with viruses and bacteria and fungus and maybe some parasites. We deal with all that on an ongoing basis.
Yes.
And if you have a good immune system, it works.
It works. It takes care of it.
It works because you went through all those childhood diseases and you got sick a few times. And
we didn't need 5 million vaccinations. I won't go there. So let's create an environment inside of our body to heal itself.
Right.
That's what where
good water,
health from the inside out.
Good food, whole foods.
We'll probably do an entire show on love / healing energy / good vibrations.
It's so
that whole energy concept and how important that is to us.
Is.
And
for
those of you who are emotionally not ready for that, just think about watching comedy instead.
That's right.
Because that's another another release of good vibrations.
Gotcha.
We thrive on that. That's important to us humans. Let's call that fun.
Right.
Yes.
We got to have fun.
Gotcha.
And everybody's fun's a little bit different. For some, it's reading a book. Mm-hmm. For others, it's playing a sport. For some others, it's doing a show.
That's right. Like us, we're having a lot of fun.
So that's just as important for healing from the inside out as any of the other factors.
Very important.
Because if you're banging your head against the wall, not happy, really hurting in a bad place, your healing is not going to go as fast. And a lot of people don't quite understand that, can't get that.
It's the whole environment. We want that whole environment.
Wow.
And that's what we're going to create.
That's how you heal from the inside out.
Gotcha.
And sometimes you got to just plug yourself in. We'll do a show on some brain reprogramming things as well.
Mm-hmm. Good frequencies.
There's a whole lot of easy tech out there for that purpose.
Yes.
I like it. So if I'm looking bad, I'm probably looking bad on the inside first. If I'm looking tired, rather, and just all beat down and weathered down, you seem sometimes you look and you're like, wow, I look bad. And evidently something's happening.
You ever notice how you can tell that with other people, but not so easy for yourself sometimes?
I look at myself. No, I'll admit to it. When I'm looking like bags and I'm not getting sleep or I'm not doing this or this. And that's what it is. Now you guys are working.
Your color's different. You hold your posture different. It's visible.
Wow.
It's visible. Wow. Same thing when you're not happy.
Right.
It's visible.
Yep. Let go.
You're happy, you're
gratitude.
Here. Mm-hmm. You're unhappy, you're in here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We are a triad
right.
of health. We have physical, chemical, and emotional components, and they all work together.
Yes.
And that's why we're so amazing, and that's why we actually have the experience of love.
Wow.
I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the rest of the animal kingdom doesn't experience that.
It's different, but
it's different.
It's different.
But because we have all those things at the same time.
The communication, yes.
Well, time flies. We have fun. We got 2 minutes to wrap it up. So you want to tell us where you're located once again?
I would love to tell everybody to call the 310-473-3030. You're a guest of ours. If you call and you can come in and get a complimentary circulation experience, come and see what your body can do when we move your blood. We're located in Inglewood. We're located in Brentwood. You're allowed to come. We would love for you to be our guest to get a free EECP session. Bring your medication. We'll give you a complete evaluation. We'll talk to you about the power of your blood and what happens when we circulate it. What's really cool about it is when people come and get that one session, there is a remarkable change in weight loss, blood pressure, blood sugar. You leave with your legs feeling lighter, you sleep better, you have more energy just from 1 hour. So it's really powerful. So you're all welcome to come.
And it works, believe me. But all right, Dr. K, it's on you to close us and take us home.
Oh, this has been great. We could go on for another hour easy. Thank you so much, Sara.
Thank you so much.
And everybody out there listening to Health from the Inside Out. I'm Dr. Jason Kelberman at westsidewellnesscenter.com, 310-268-8008. The future is exciting for the show. Stay tuned because you're not going to know where we're going to go until you tune in.
That's right.
Literally.
We're going to be giving away giveaways, money, prizes. Yeah, we got that coming. So they got to tune in to find out the details.
Now you're scaring me.
Nah. Okay. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you next time on
Health from the Inside Out.
See you later, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.